Corla, I think, like many people from Dublin, I'm still slightly traumatised by the events of last week. I know when the word came through about a stabbing incident on Parnell Square, I wanted to be with my own 5-year-old daughter as quickly as I possibly could have. But then I knew, as soon as certain so-called media outlets went out of their way to reveal the nationality of this individual, I knew that there was going to be trouble. We all knew it. And what we witnessed on Thursday evening was like seeing a family member being beaten up in front of your eyes. So the next day, reeling from that, it wasn't in the Labour Party's minds to start calling for heads, for resignations, for people to go, because the forefront of our minds was, if you like, our city that was still recovering from an assault. And so we want to point the finger of prioritisation at where it needs to go. But, Minister, we need to speak about a number of failures up until Thursday, last Thursday, and what we feel are failures since then. So let's talk about the far right. Let's talk about library protests and libraries in Cork that have had to shut down because of library protests. Has there been any attempt from government, within the capabilities that you have, to tackle that and to provide information about the genuine distribution of books within libraries, to cut that off at source? No. What we then had at accommodation centres around the country, vile and violent language, people consistently saying that the only way to sort this out was to burn them out, consistent over a period of time, which effectively did happen around the corner from here. Was there an effective tackling of that? No. They came here on the day of the opening of the Dáil in September, and they interfered with members of the Oireachtas. And now we have this pathetic sight of security barriers outside Leinster House, which to my mind looks to me that we have surrendered to them, because that's now what we have to look at the National Parliament. They need to be taken down. And all the while, you have celebrity people like this Conor McGregor, Gobda. You have people in this chamber who will use the word criminality and immigration in the same sentence as often as they can to get some cheap political gain for themselves. Yes, I am talking about rural independence, and I am talking about members of the Seanad who do the exact same thing. For the love of God, would they realise that some things are more important than them winning their bloody seats? So all this is being whipped up all the time. And then you have a collapse, an absolute collapse in Garda morale. We came within an inch of Garda overtime not being used for every Tuesday during October, which would have included Halloween, which would have absolutely destroyed the policing potential of An Garda Síochána on Halloween night. We came within an inch of that. We have 116 resignations, unprecedented numbers, up until the end of October. A couple of years ago, it was only 70. We're now going to face almost a doubling of that number by the end of this year, and we're not talking about early retirements. And every Garda representative organisation says that there is a problem at the heart of their organisation. If they're in it, they want to leave. If they're not in it, they don't want to join. And they are resigning in unprecedented numbers. All of this on your watch. You had a disastrous public relations episode during the summer when it came to the issue of antisocial behaviour in Dublin city centre. And so all of us knew, as soon as people went out of their way with glee to inform us of the origin of the individual at the heart of this attack, we knew the place was going to go up. We knew the place was going to go up. So for anybody to suggest that there was in any way a surprise of what happened on Thursday night is absolutely delusional. Now, since then, since Thursday, We got a statement from you, Minister, on Saturday night that spoke about dog units, horse units and water cannon. I mean, are you serious? And then we had a statement about facial recognition technology. Are you really suggesting that any of those things are going to deal with the far right and the absence of a leadership campaign from government to actually dispel the lies that is going on in individual communities? Are you doing anything to do that? You've completely isolated your Minister for Integration, who doesn't seem to get any support across government. It seems you want anything to do with integration and immigration to be just his problem, nobody else's. So in all these stories about unvetted individuals and unvetted males coming in to communities, you don't get a build-up of correction or information or filling that vacuum that has been left by government, because you know who's filling it: the far right, the poison. And they are reaching out to through whatever social media outlet they can possibly find in order to spread their bile. And they're getting an army, and they can raise it in a number of hours, which is exactly what they did on Thursday, because you are not tackling them either in the way of information or indeed in the way of Garda numbers. So what do we need after last week? We need a recognition from you that you have absolutely failed Dublin. My city, my Dublin, my part of the world is dying on your watch. Can't get a teacher, can't get a house, can't get a guard. It was already dying, and now it's on fire on your watch because you don't get Dublin. You don't understand her. You just don't. So what I need from you, Minister, is a recognition that you have failed. I need from you, Minister, now is a recognition that we need to have a proper independent report of what happened last Thursday. So yeah, if you want to take the politics out of it, let's take the politics out of it. And let's have somebody independently assess what on earth happened on Thursday, how it was so predictable, and how the city went basically on fire. And you're saying to me in your speech that it won't happen again? I mean, are you out of your mind? Do you know how buoyant they are? Do you know what happened in East Wall last night to Deputy MacDonald? Do you know what happened in Clondalkin last night to Deputy Gino Kenny? Have you knowledge of what happened? They are buoyant because they got their way, they got their spectacular, and they want more. And if you don't think what's happening from certain people with authority, but who are irresponsible in places like Rosslare, who are whipping up tensions, or Dromahir and Leitrim, who are whipping up tensions and are still doing it all over the country, if you don't think this can happen again, then you don't know what you're talking about. So we want an independent review report into what happened last Thursday. We want you to get serious on Garda numbers. If it's about pay and pensions, then deliver pay and pension reform. The gas thing, as we all know, that even if Drew Harris resigned tomorrow, you wouldn't get somebody to do his job, because you can't get people to fill senior positions within the Garda Síochána as it is. So, Minister, and this isn't easy for us to say, because again, we didn't reach for the political soundbite on Friday when it would be easy to do so, because the city was smouldering and we're all bloody heartbroken over it. But you cannot say that this wasn't coming. You cannot say you haven't been overseeing a beleaguered Garda force, because everybody has been telling you that it's beleaguered, undermanned, under-resourced, and people want to get the hell out of it. And you cannot say that the far right haven't been active in libraries, in accommodation centres and in individual constituencies, and targeting members of the Oireachtas. Do you know that many of us here are unsure as to whether we should actually speak out about the far right, because they know they come for us as well? That's how dangerous this is. That's how dangerous this is. And local election candidates who are now worried about their own addresses being made public. So if you don't think this was coming, then you don't know what you're talking about. And if you I think you need to wake up and realise that this threat is not going away. You don't get Dublin. The Garda force is falling apart. The far right are buoyant. and you need to take responsibility for that.